Heron, and Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin, and Roger Collette, a wildfire prevention officer.
You turn it on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Media availability with Premier Susan Holt, Natural Resource Minister John Heron, Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin, and Roger Collette, a wildfire prevention officer. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à cette conférence de presse avec la Première ministre Susan Holt, le ministre des Ressources naturelles John Heron, le ministre de la Sécurité publique Robert Gauvin et Roger Collette, un agent de prévention des incendies de forêt. Before I turn things over to the Premier, I would like to remind everyone to ensure their microphones are placed on mute. Avant de céder la parole à la Première ministre, veuillez vous assurer de désactiver le son de vos micros. I'd also like to let you know that interpretation services are available. You can access them by clicking the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. Premier.
Thank you, Katie. Good afternoon, everyone. I know that many of you have been watching the news and seeing the updates from your friends, your neighbors, your local community, and from various government agencies on social media. So you know what I'm about to tell you, which is that the wildfire situation in New Brunswick has gotten worse since we were sitting here on Saturday. Je sais que beaucoup de vous autres suivent les nouvelles. Vous voyez sur les réseaux sociaux les photos des feux de forêt, de la réponse, des avions. Vous écoutez l'information du gouvernement de votre municipalité et vous savez que la situation des feux de forêt dans notre province s'est aggravée depuis que nous étions ici samedi. Right now, 3 fires are labeled out of control. One in Miramichi, one in Irishtown, and one outside of Bathurst. Some New Brunswickers are preparing for potential evacuations, and Minister Heron and Minister Gauvin will provide more details. Actuellement, à ce moment, il y a 3 feux qualifiés hors de contrôle. Un à Miramichi, un à Irishtown, puis un juste hors de Bathurst. Il y a certains Néo-Brunswickois et Néo-Brunswickoises qui se préparent à les éventuelles évacuations. Le ministre Heron puis le ministre Gauvin va fournir plus de détails. The team was successfully able to get a wildfire near Canterbury tamped down before it was able to grow. So that fire is now under control. But we know that the hot, humid, windy weather is going to continue for the foreseeable future. It was hotter today. I think Bathurst recorded higher temperatures than we've seen in some parts of Florida. So we need to take all possible precautions to avoid the spread of the existing fires or the starting of new fires. Nous savons que la température élevée, le temps chaud et humide et un vent qui va se poursuivre dans l'avenir, prévisible que nous devions prendre toutes les précautions possibles pour éviter une propagation supplémentaire ou des feux de forêt de nouveau. This is a scary time for our province, and I want to reassure folks that our entire team in the Department of Natural Resources and Public Safety, firefighters on the ground, people working in our emergency measures operations command centers, that the ministers and I visited today to drop off veggies and fruits and say thank you and keep going. We are doing everything possible to protect you and your communities and our forests. C'est une période effrayante pour beaucoup dans notre province. Je veux rassurer les gens que toutes les personnes travaillent fort sur cet enjeu. Le département des ressources naturelles, le département de sécurité publique, le monde local sur le terrain, les pompiers, ceux qui travaillent dans nos centres de commande, des mesures d'urgence, où nous avons visité aujourd'hui pour leur donner un petit peu de nourriture et leur remercier de votre part. On fait tout possible pour vous protéger ainsi que pour vous protéger vos communautés et nos forêts. Ministers Heron and Gauvin will provide more details about what we're doing to keep New Brunswickers safe, but know that that is our top priority, to keep New Brunswickers safe. I'll pass it over to Minister Herron for more technical details.
Thank you very much, Premier. As I said on Saturday, that there is a clear expectation by New Brunswickers, Canadians in general, that they want their governments to be proactive in these situations with respect to combating wildfires. That we, as a department, and what we saw today, whether it be at Forest Protection Limited, whether at the JPS EM emergency measures operations itself, that the full machinery of government is seized with this moment to ensure that we take all precautions possible to keep New Brunswickers safe. I'll provide some of the updates. Some of this information has been touched on by the Premier, so for apologies if there's for repetition. That as the Premier has pointed out, that there are 3 live events that would be fires that we would consider to be out of control, that have seized, obviously, our firefighters' attention for the most part. We are heartened by the fact that we were able to tamp down one fire that was out of control in the Canterbury area. The Oldfield fire continues to burn. It is approximately 450 hectares in size. At the moment, we are unable to get in front of that fire, but we do have the capacity to help steer it away from people. So that's where our efforts are with respect to the Oldfield fire itself. We're obviously extraordinarily live to the issue of concern around Irishtown, that the area of concern, that particular polygon, has as many as 900 structures in that region that potentially could affect an estimated 1,500 persons. My colleague, the Minister of Justice and Public Safety, he'll speak to how we will have the process with respect to alerting and potentially issuing evacuation orders. I do want to say, if there's a theme that we've been trying to emphasize in the Department of Natural Resources, that we want to be on our front foot as much as possible. We want to be as proactive as we can, test to see what else we can do. So in that process is that we are adding to our resources with respect to combating fires, is that for the first time, I believe ever, we've actually requested boots on the ground from our neighbors. Now we have a tradition where New Brunswickers have sent firefighters to our neighbors. We have a pretty large arsenal of highly trained firefighters, but we've requested through CIFC, which is the Canadian Interagency for Forest Fire Center, we've requested 60 Type 1 firefighters. We've already received acknowledgement that we're halfway there, that an attack unit of 20 persons will be coming from Nova Scotia, that there are there's a 5-person strike team from Prince Edward Island, and we believe that we have 5 firefighters coming from the state of Maine as additional resources as well. Something that will be new in a New Brunswick context is that we're adding 2 air attack helicopters. Now we have these helicopters on lease, but we are repurposing them to carry water buckets. Those water buckets will arrive this evening. The advantage of having those particular aerial assets is that they are immensely precise. So that will be adding to our inventory. We also have a request out through CIFC for an additional CF 415, those large super scooper water bombers that we already have 2 on loan for us to combat fires, mostly in the Oldfield fire in the Miramichi. They're based out of Baie-Comeau, Quebec, and we've made a request through CIFC for 1 or 2 others of those 415s. They will be very helpful as we aim to get efforts to get in front of the Oldfield fire itself. Also, in terms of just making sure that we have more boots on the ground, is that DNR offices, effective 4:30 today, they will be all closing. A number of firefight or DNR personnel are also highly trained firefighters. That's where we're focusing our energies on a go-forward basis. And so I think that concludes my update. But if I could send one message, is that we're trying to be proactive, trying to be on our front foot, not being as only being reactive, by proactively getting added resources, whether that be personnel or equipment, to help keep New Brunswickers safe.
Mr. Gomez.
Merci, thank you. Bonjour tout le monde, good afternoon. Les mesures on vous demande de prendre, c'est des mesures, comme la première ministre l'a mentionné, ce sont des mesures qui vous gardent en sécurité. Mais c'est aussi des mesures qui vont aider nos employés qui sont en train de travailler dans les forêts tout de suite à des chaleurs extraordinairement dangereuses et mettre leur vie en jeu. Il faut penser à eux aussi. À l'heure actuelle, les risques d'incendie en forêt restent extrêmement élevés dans notre province. On peut comprendre que c'est une période extrêmement stressante pour les gens qui restent à proximité de ces feux de forêt. We would like to thank every New Brunswicker for your cooperation and for following directives. This is helping emergency personnel to do their jobs and keep them safe. And like my colleague, Minister Heron, said this morning on the radio, I know people in New Brunswick, they get it. They get what they need to do, and they know why we're asking this. This is for your safety, the safety of your communities, and the safety of firefighters putting their lives on the line. Donc, nous exhortons également les gens de notre province à continuer de prendre des décisions judicieuses, comme, s'il vous plaît, restez en dehors des forêts. On ne peut pas le dire assez souvent, ce ne sont pas des mesures punitives. Ça prend juste un accident, ça ne prend pas grand-chose quand les forêts sont dans les conditions actuelles. We are also urging New Brunswickers to keep making smart decisions like staying out in the woods and fire areas. We understand that public could be curious and concerned about the fire, but this is not the time to go near wildfires. If you want to help the firefighters right now, they need the space, they need the roads. The best thing to do, if you're not working there, is trying to stay out of the way, please. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about evacuation. These wildfires are posing a real threat to the people and their property. We are asking people in the Irishtown, Tankville, Evangeline, and Lakeville areas to be prepared to evacuate on short notice. Les résidents, je vais le dire en français maintenant, les résidents des secteurs d'Irishtown, Tankville, Evangeline et Lakeville doivent être prêts à évacuer à court préavis. Tous les Néo-Brunswickoises et Néo-Brunswickois devraient avoir un plan d'évacuation et une trousse d'urgence. Si vous n'en avez pas, préparez-en un. Si vous ne savez pas comment faire, vous trouverez ces informations sur le site web de l'OMUNB. Every New Brunswicker should have an evacuation plan and an emergency kit. If you don't have one, make one. If you don't know how to make them, there's more information on the NBEMO website. Make sure your family knows what to do if an evacuation order is issued. Also, make sure to prepare a backpack or bag in the event evacuation order is issued. This should include essentials like water, food, a blanket, flashlight, radio, batteries, first aid kit, prescription medication, infant formula, cash, and a spare set of clothes. Je sais que la menace d'une évacuation peut être une source d'anxiété, mais le ministère de la Justice et Sécurité publique et tous nos partenaires au sein et en dehors du gouvernement se préparent depuis plusieurs jours. Si une évacuation s'avère nécessaire, nous vous informerons. Vous le verrez à la télévision, vous l'entendrez à la radio, vous le lirez sur vos téléphones et sur vos ordinateurs. Nous allons trouver une façon de vous rejoindre. If there's a need to evacuate, we will let you know. You will see it on your TVs, hear it on your radios, read it on your phones and computers. We will find a way to reach you. But until that time, please keep calm and be prepared. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about road closures, just for more information. The current detour on Route 8 is still in place. The situation is being monitored. District staff are ready in affected areas with barricades and signage. Remember that the crucial part of being prepared is staying informed, and we say that all the time, try to stay informed. New Brunswickers can follow NBEMO and GNB on social media as well. The latest information will be posted there and on the Firewatch webpage at gnb.ca/firewatch. Les Néo-Brunswickoises et Néo-Brunswickois peuvent suivre l'OMUNB, le gouvernement de Nouveau-Brunswick, sur les réseaux sociaux. Les dernières informations seront publiées sur ces réseaux et sur le site d'indice des feux à l'adresse gnb.ca/indice des feux. We cannot say enough how much we need to work together on this, because we are all in this together. So again, please stay out of the woods and prepare yourself and try to be informed. Je vais terminer en français en disant on est tous dans une situation qui nous touche tous. On travaille tous ensemble là-dessus parce qu'on veut le même résultat. Alors je vous dirais, préparez-vous, informez-vous et s'il vous plaît, pour la sécurité de tout le monde, restez en hors des forêts. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, ministre Gauvin. Moi, je vais continuer dans la même voie. Nous sommes extrêmement reconnaissants de voir que les Néo-Brunswickois suivent les conseils que nous avons donnés il y a quelques jours concernant l'accès aux terres de la couronne. Et nous apprécions que vous voulez prendre soin d'un les autres. Je veux aussi remercier nos partenaires, les municipalités, les organisations sans but lucratif, les événements, tout le monde qui travaille avec nous autres pour informer leurs résidents, pour informer leurs voisins et leurs clients de la situation. I want to say a huge thank you to the people of New Brunswick who have been following the directives that we issued on Saturday. And I want to recognize all of the municipalities, the nonprofit organizations, event organizers who have partnered with us to communicate to their neighbors, to their residents, to their clients, and to their attendees, and who have made adjustments to their plans in the best interest of keeping our province safe and reducing the risk of forest fires. It's heartening to see that we all want to take care of each other and protect these forests that we think of as so close to our identity here in New Brunswick. I'll echo Minister Gauvin's comments. Now is not the time for fire tourism. There have been people who have wanted to get that great picture for social media, but we need to keep our roads and our emergency areas as clear as possible so that the people responding to fight these fires can do their jobs. So please, if you don't need to be out, don't be out. Continue to do the things that your local communities and firefighters are asking you to do, as Minister Gauvin said, to be ready in case things getting worse. Je veux aussi être reconnaissant de l'aide de nos voisins. Comme le ministre Herron a dit, c'est la première fois que le Nouveau-Brunswick a demandé de l'aide. C'est typiquement nous autres qui l'offrent de l'aide. Alors moi, j'apprécie énormément que nos appels aux provinces de Québec, à la Nouvelle-Écosse, à l'île du Prince-Édouard, à l'État de Maine, ont été répondus. I really want to take a personal moment to thank my colleagues in Quebec and Nova Scotia and PEI and Maine, who, when I called to say, hey, we need your help, the answer was speedy and positive in every instance. Our neighbors are doing what they can to help us, the same way that New Brunswick has loaned out our firefighting expertise to our neighbors this year and over the years. And so a big thanks from me to the folks that have, to my colleagues that have responded with that support. I want to remind you that the best source of information about the situation is at gnb.ca/firewatch. la meilleure source d'information que vous pouvez trouver at gnb.ca/indice des feux. There are a lot of different groups trying to help share information. This is where you'll find the most accurate, the most up-to-date information for what is happening. gnb.ca/Firewatch. We are seeing some disinformation being spread on places like Meta and TikTok that is being generated by AI. That's why it is best to look for official sources from the province or from your local community. Nous voyons à ce moment que la désinformation est générée par l'IA sur les plateformes comme Meta puis TikTok. Alors nous vous demandons, c'est préférable que vous cherchiez des sources officielles comme le site gnb.ca/indice des feux et les informations de votre municipalité. Finally, I want to wrap up with a huge thank you to our firefighters, our responders, to the staff at Natural Resources, to the staff at Public Safety, to the folks in the EMO who have been working nonstop since Wednesday, many of them around the clock, sacrificing time away from their families to make sure that we are doing everything possible to keep our province safe and to keep our people safe. Thank you for your dedicated hard work, your tirelessness, and your sacrifice. Our team is here to support you and make sure you have the resources that you need to do your jobs. And New Brunswickers have shown us that they are also here to get out of your way and let you do the important work that you're doing to keep us all safe. Merci du fond de mon cœur à tout le monde qui travaille dans nos bureaux de ressources naturelles, de sécurité publique, dans l'organisation de mesures d'urgence du Nouveau-Brunswick et sur le terrain, les pompiers locaux et nos partenaires qui travaillent depuis mercredi, jour et nuit, pour assurer qu'on fait le tout possible d'assurer la sécurité de notre province et des Néo-Brunswickois. Merci énormément, je l'apprécie. Thank you.
We will members of the media. Each reporter will have the right to one question and one follow-up, and you have the right to pose your question in the official language of your choice. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions des journalistes. Chaque journaliste aura droit à une question puis une suivie. Vous avez le droit de poser votre question dans la langue officielle de votre choix. We'll start with Savannah Ott from CBC.
Hey, I'm just wondering, you had mentioned the size update for Oldfield Fire, 450 hectares. Could you just share the updates on the size of the fire for the other two active ones and if there have been any new evacuations in those respective areas?
Sure. I can take that on. So we have, and this can change by the hour, sometimes even by the minute. So directly speaking, the Miramichi fire is approximately 450 hectares. The Irishtown fire is at 54 hectares. The other new live event that is deemed a fire that would be in the Bathurst region. It's new. I don't have an exact figure on how many hectares, but I can share this. We were at Fire Protection Limited this afternoon, and it would have been like 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, those same planes that we saw, just when we had visibility to that first ignition, they were already on site, dropped the water on that to help contain it, to the point that now we have taken off the aerial assets, and now we're fighting it on the ground, boots on the ground. That's a strong signal that I'm optimistic that we'll get hold of that particular third event very quickly, and that's how quickly things can become problematic. But that's how quickly that the men and women at DNR and FPL are able to act to respond.
Should I just ask without them? Okay. Several of you mentioned that we need to take all precautions possible right now, so I'm wondering if there's any thoughts to introducing fines like we've seen in other provinces.
So fines are currently in place and always have been in our Crown Forests Act. Those remain in place today, and I believe that to date, 2 fines have been issued to people who have broken the fire ban and had open fires in the woods.
Are you able to say where that was?
No. I can try to find out for you, but
Marco Castada, Radio-Canada. Marco Castada, Radio-Canada.
Oui, bonjour, m'entendez-vous?
Oui.
Oui, bonjour. Je me demandais si au niveau de tout ce qui est gros engins comme des avions-citernes, des hélicoptères, c'était quoi les effectifs et est-ce qu'on en a assez pour répondre aux incendies en ce moment?
the question was how many?
Oui, peut-être je peux répondre à cette question. Maintenant, on a 2 hélicoptères qui sont en train d'être disponibles. Ça commence demain matin parce qu'on est en train de recevoir les buckets pour les hélicoptères. On a 2 C4 cans water bombers qui est dans la base de Baie Como, qui est disponible pour le feu à Oldfield. Et on a une équipe de 802 water bombers qui est dans la base ici à Fredericton. À FPL. Oh, oui, merci, le Premier ministre. On est vraiment heureux de dire qu'on a 4 autres water bombers qui sont les 802, qui est les aéroplanes de J.D. Irving. Et J.D. Irving est un partenaire vraiment important à ce moment-ci.
Marco, votre suivi?
Oui, et ça, ce sera peut-être plus au ministre de la Sécurité publique. Monsieur Gauvin, j'ai entendu que vous avez mis vraiment l'accent sur essayer de rejoindre le public. Nous, depuis ce matin, sur le terrain, les gens semblent un peu inquiets de ne pas avoir assez d'informations, notamment sur les évacuations ou sur si les feux ont pris de l'importance. Qu'est-ce que vous répondez à ces critiques?
Eh bien, je comprends totalement la population et les inquiétudes sur ce sujet. Comme le ministre Herron l'a mentionné un peu plus tôt, l'information change d'heure en heure. Donc, on travaille toujours là-dessus. Mais ce qui est pour le fond de votre question sur les évacuations, nous, les experts sur le terrain, dès qu'ils nous disent que ça va être le temps d'évacuer, on va s'assurer de rejoindre la population sur leur portable, leur télévision, les radios. Nous allons nous assurer de rejoindre la population. Et nous, on donne l'information quand on l'a. On ne peut pas inventer l'information, mais vous pouvez être sûr que quand on a de l'information, c'est pour ça qu'on fait les conférences de presse ici. Dès qu'on a l'information, on la donne. C'est très important, mais on veut s'assurer de donner la bonne information. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Merci.
Avery McRae, CTV.
Good afternoon, folks. Appreciate the time as always. Wanted to ask first about a plane that made an emergency landing, I believe, off Route 10. I could be wrong off the top of my head. Can you just update what that situation was and what happened there?
I can speak to that. Is that you are right. It was Route 10. That plane ran into mechanical difficulty last evening. It may be related purely to fuel. We'll have more to say about that in the next day or two. We're very heartened by the skill of that particular pilot, is to make that choice following all necessary protocols. The plane landed safely. The asset is still protected. It will fly. It will fly again. So will that pilot. the skill of that pilot made sure that the plane was safe, he was safe, but also New Brunswickers were safe. Is that we're executing that landing as he did meant that plane did not crash to the point or cause an incident where flame could have occurred in those forests. So that's the situation as it sits right now. I was alerted of that about just after 9 o'clock last evening.
And just to follow up on a slightly different note, of course, we've got about a few weeks left in summer before kids are back at school, and of course, many New Brunswickers naturally want to get back into the forests. What will it take for that to happen?
What will it take for that to happen?
A whole bunch of rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain. That's, I was going to say, an act of God. What we need is rain. We need the forests to get the water that they need to not be as dry and as in tinder-ready conditions that fires can start with just the slightest bit of heat that could come from a motorized vehicle, that could come from a lens, from a spark or otherwise. So if everybody can get out their best rain song, rain dance, rain prayers, that's what it'll take to get to the point where we know that the risk of fires is down, and we're encouraging people to, it's a great time to go out and take your dog for a walk on the beach.
Johnny James, Global News.
Hi, my first question is for either Minister Herron or Minister Gauvin. The Firewatch site is obviously a very important tool now for residents, but there is a fair amount of information contained in that site. I just wanted to ask, what data specifically, just to kind of cut through the noise, that residents should really be monitoring and paying attention to?
I'll take I guess almost from the title of the site, it's Firewatch. There's a PDF that's available on that site that I would urge folks, if you're curious about what's happening around the province or potentially even in your extended neighborhood, to go to that site. There's a PDF that lists what fires are still active to various degrees. You'll see all of those 14 fire events still there, and you'll see in particular those 3 fires of concern. So that's where that's the place that I go to first with respect to other information, perhaps related to EMO and evacuation type of things. I may refer to Minister Gauvin to respond to that part.
Yes, well, emergency measures, Firewatch is a good place, but also you can have conversations with your local district. We also going to follow up on, if there's a need for emergency, we will let you know, like I said, speaking specifically for people in Maple Hills. If and when there's a need, we will find your device, whether it be TV, radio, or phone, and we will let you know. This is a situation that is constantly moving, so we try to keep on top of everything. But like my colleague said, Firewatch is the best place right now to take the information.
Well, and I would just add, maybe it's well, I won't make that dig, but the minister likes the PDF. My preference is the live dashboard that gives you the GIS model of the province that lets you see all of the fires and click on the specific one you're interested in to get a sense of its state, out of control, contained, managed, put out. You can see the resources assigned to that fire in the moment live. It tells you at the bottom of the page, last updated 9 minutes ago. And so you can get the sense very quickly of where it is. You can zoom in to the coordinates of the location and see the changing of the deployment of resources, the changing of the state of the fire. And so I like that live dashboard view myself, that if you click on the dashboard, that's what it'll give you. And I think Roger has his probably favorite part of Firewatch to point you to as well, Johnny.
Yeah, so I think part of that came from generational, is that I like a static PDF, the Premier likes the high technology. Roger probably can expand on that part of it.
Yeah, I use all of those. Definitely, the burn status is number one. We won't see that change for a while. Just going to mention, like they are talking about some rain this week. It's not going to be enough to make a big difference. It's going to help, but we're going to need a lot of rain and prolonged. So this may, even though we may get 20 mils, it's not going to be enough to stop all of this. So it's going to be continuing for a while. So as we move forward, to kind of go with that question about going back to school and stuff, it's hard to say what happens over a period of 2 weeks. Weather conditions change, and we can really only predict out, reliably a few days at best. So, yeah, keep an eye on that webpage. It's got lots of information there. There's also some weather information, so fire weather information. So there's, kind of, you can pick out some of the weather stations in the province and just see what the conditions are in those areas. So there's lots of information there. You can look around, and I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff that you enjoy looking at.
Johnny.
And to just follow up on that, in terms of evacuation, I believe this would probably go more to Minister Gauvin. For those who don't have many options for alternative shelter, if they need to evacuate, maybe their closest family is far away or out of province, or maybe they're homeless and don't have a place to go to begin with and need to move due to an evacuation. What are their best options right now in order to find a place to go to be safe?
Well, right now, we're going to take the situation that is existing right now, which will be in Maple Hills. And we know there's about 900 structures, about 1,500 people. And we've spoken at length with the mayor and Lynn Chantal Boudreau, our minister, also the MLA for the region. There's a Kia Center that's been made available. And so that's a place that people should go if they don't have a family member or somebody who can take care of them. We also know that there's a long-term care facility for 9 people there. So the center is made available for that. So in this existing case, we worked out something that people can go to. And if it happens somewhere else, well, we'll find a way to make it work there as well. So but for this existing case, there's a place to go.
John Chilbeck, Post Media.
In the same vein, I was wondering if there's an evacuation carried out and there's the odd person who doesn't have any media, like they don't have their phone, TV on, radio, what do you do? Are you going to go door to door? Like, how's that going to work?
Well, there might be some of that, but also there'll be police officers there patrolling, so make sure that nobody is left behind. We are already watching this area because of the possibility. So right now, like I said, the municipality's been great, the mayor's been great. We have a center. Police officers will be on the ground, and the people there are ready to help to find anybody who would be, vulnerable.
Sorry, I missed the name of the center. What is it called again?
Kia Center.
Kia Center.
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a sense? I know there are lots of different kinds of firefighters, and you have lots of personnel, but how many people do we actually have in the woods fighting these fires right now?
Yeah, that would be on each, if you, as the minister mentioned, you can click on each fire, and so there should be a number of resources. There'll be equipment as well, so most of these fires all have bulldozers working on them, some excavators, aircraft. So some different equipment that should be listed there too. The tankers, so the trucks that we're using as well. So those would all be listed there. So it'd give you an idea what's on each. But yeah, just to have a solid number, I don't have it right.
Last I checked, I thought it was either 115 or 120, but that's literally the first column is personnel deployed. Maybe it's 122 now because the numbers have been increasing a little bit, but that is the first column on the dashboard. You can see the people on the ground.
Natalie Surgeon, CHCO TV, The Courier.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I'm just wondering, just to, I guess, follow up on John's question. This is the first time I think the minister mentioned that you guys have called for help from other provinces. I'm just wondering what that strain has been like, having multiple fires at the same time for crews that are on the ground.
Oh, well, you can imagine the strain on the resources, Natalie. We have so many pilots, so many firefighters, so many planes, and the team is making decisions every day about which fires we can contain, where people are at the most risk. That was one of the reasons why there was a shift in deployment from Miramichi to Irishtown, where there were structures and people and lives at risk, and we needed to move assets there because we didn't have enough assets to put full resources on every fire that was going. That's part of the reason why we needed to call to my colleagues in Maine and Nova Scotia and PEI and Quebec to get more on the ground as more fires burn and burn longer, and put more pressure on our system, because people need breaks. I know people were wondering, how come the planes aren't flying 24/7? Pilots need to rest in order to do the job safely, the same way that firefighters need to rest in order to be safe out there in these exceptionally hot conditions and equipment. And so we have to make sure that we're looking after the responders as best possible, and using our people and our assets at the best times possible when the fires are hottest and moving most quickly. And we, as John originally said, we want to be on the front foot. We want to be getting ahead of these, as the team has been successful in doing in Canterbury, and we hope up in Bathurst. But we could use more resources, and I'm very grateful that our neighbors said yes to our request for help.
Natalie, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I could, I know you've mentioned that when you determine if there's an evacuation required, specifically in Irishtown, what is the threshold for that? Is it if the fire is a certain number of hectares away from the closest property? Is it the determination of wind and what direction it's going in? I'm just wondering if we could get clarity on when you'll know, or what will let you know that you need to issue an evacuation for those folks.
Well, it's a combination of all those things. It's the wind, it's the distance, and we are on the ground and we are working on our side. But as soon as the experts tell us, we will put the message out. But it's a combination of all those things, and we are watching it very closely. We've put it yesterday in advance so people have a chance to prepare. That's the best thing we can do, because, like I said, prepare your backpacks, get ready. We hope we don't have to, but if we have to, we will be ready. But in the meantime, we're waiting on the experts to tell us when and if the situation arises. But it's a combination of all that you mentioned.
Teresa Blackburn, River Valley Sun.
Yes, I was speaking yesterday, actually throughout the weekend, with the fire chief in Canterbury, and he mentioned drones to us, cautioned people on using them, saying that planes can't do their work when drones are in the air. I wanted to know whether or not there have been any issues with drones for firefighters. How much of a problem is this?
We haven't had any issues with the drones yet. But we know they have been up on some of the fires that we did go to. This we found after the fact that we've seen on social media that some of the pictures are being posted. So we know that the drones are going up once in a while. Not sure when. The hope is that it was after we were done working on the fires. But there is a NOTAM around every fire. So legally, you cannot fly a drone on the fire scene without permission from our department.
And maybe just to add to that, if I could, don't do that. Just don't do it. You're putting people at risk. Do not put our pilots at risk. So it is not something that is encouraged. We have men and women who are on the ground, in the air, doing everything they can do to keep New Brunswickers safe. Don't do things that put them in harm's way.
Do you have the ability then to close the airspace to drones? Can you say that? Or is that just, it's automatically an issue and it's already there in some kind of legislation somewhere?
automatically the case. If it's deemed a wildfire event, you are not allowed to fly through that space with a drone. And so that is the case now, and folks who are doing that should not be. That's why the government have been putting out those messages saying exactly that. Do not fly your drones over a live fire event, because as Roger just said, that's a no-go zone, and you're not able to be there.
Hina Alam, Canadian Press.
Hi, Premier. I was wondering, I probably missed this, but can you tell me how many people and how many structures are at risk at all of these out-of-control fires?
I think, yeah, that right now the fire that has risk of structure and people is the fire in Irishtown, the one in Oldfield Road and the one in Bathurst up near the old Bathurst mines site, and Episiquet Falls is not near people or structures, but I think Rabel just gave the figure of about 900 structures and about 1,500 people in the community that has received the heads up to prepare for evacuation.
My follow-up was, I was wondering, it's a two-parter. I was wondering if you could tell me how much rain, what is the amount of rain that we've had this year, and what's the difference between last year and this year, and what's the average? And there are people who say that they're losing their right to walk in the woods because of these restrictions, and it almost seems like the latest cultural obsession. And I was wondering what do you have to say to people who have all this universal anger all of a sudden toward this this plea, this request from the government to keep out of the woods?
Well, I'll leave the historical rain data. Maybe we can send that to you in a follow-up, because I think you were asking this year, past year averages, so we'll get that to you. But I do want to speak to the people who are frustrated by the notion of an inability to go hiking or fishing, and I understand that frustration. It's something that we all love to do as New Brunswickers, is to get out into the woods and to do that with our family, our friends, our pets, and otherwise. And the notion that me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire, I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous. But the reality is, it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you, because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out, because our first responders are focused on an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed, which is why we're asking New Brunswickers. This is something we're asking them to do. There are private woods where you can do what you want in New Brunswick, but we're asking you to make the safe choice for our first responders, for your neighbors, and for our woods. We can do that on the public lands that the government has authority over, and we're asking you to recognize that, yes, you want to go for a walk in the woods. Okay, well, like there's a lovely walk just nearby that doesn't threaten our first responders and our response to a dozen fires in this province that are getting worse by the day. And we need to keep our trails clear, our roads clear. We need to have as minimal barriers to the effective delivery of firefighting and to putting these out as possible. So it is an ask. We are asking New Brunswickers, please find somewhere else to walk with your friends and family right now, so that we can keep the risk of having to care for you in those places that are hard for us to reach, while we care for the people whose homes may be under threat in Irishtown, for the people that are experiencing fires outside the Miramichi and Bathurst.
Okay, thanks everyone. I'll pass things back to the Premier now for some closing comments. Merci tout le monde. Je vais passer la parole à la Première ministre pour des commentaires de clôture.
Merci beaucoup. Je vais juste terminer avec des mots de rassurance que l'équipe travaille à temps plein sur des solutions. On fait du travail préventatif, on fait du travail actif, on demande pour de l'aide, on l'utilise pour tout faire et on vous remercie pour tout ce que vous faites pour aider vos voisins et puis vos communautés. Et qu'on va continuer de communiquer avec vous autres. On va être ici mercredi, l'après-midi de mercredi, pour une autre mise à jour. Au cas où il y a quelque chose d'autre à dire d'une façon plus urgente, on va être là aussi. Mais on vous remercie pour continuer de travailler avec nous pour rendre notre province plus secure et pour protéger vos voisins. I want to reiterate how hard the team is working, doing everything possible proactively to prevent further fires and to tackle the fires that are in front of us. Those partners, those municipalities, and you, New Brunswickers, are helping us to keep this from getting worse and worse and worse. And I want to let you know that we're going to be back here Wednesday afternoon to provide you with another update, unless the situation changes so dramatically that an update is needed from us sooner than that. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been following along, who has been careful to share accurate information, who have been checking in on their neighbors and vulnerable folks to make sure that they're aware of what's going on so that we can all get through this with as minimal problems as possible. Thank you for putting your province first.